Hi, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. My name is Brian Dar, and I am a solutions architect with XBM. And you are hopefully here today for portfolio management with Atlassian tools. If you're not, well, come learn something new. We're going to specifically talk about Jira Align and advanced roadmaps today, as well as another bit of marketplace offerings. Like I said, my name is Brian Dar. I work with XBM. We are a platinum solution partner. I'll explain more about what that means in a little bit. I'm also a SAFe program consultant for Scaled Agile Framework, as well as an Atlassian certified expert, which is a somewhat pretentious title. It just means I have a lot of Atlassian certifications. So let's start. Today, we are going to specifically talk about the value proposition for Jira Align, and then also the positioning of it, and how long it takes to implement it, and then we're going to do a live demo. Then we're going to turn around and do the exact same thing with advanced roadmaps, the value proposition, the implementation timeline, and then a live demo as well. And then at the end, we're going to do Q&A, and I'm going to tell you about some other upcoming webinars and any other opportunities you might have to learn from us. Also, by the way, this webinar and a lot of our other webinars is recorded and winds up on YouTube. So if you ever want to go to our YouTube channel, it's just XBM. We have a whole bunch of free content that you can watch on all of the products of Atlassian. All right, so let's start here. Why do we want to do portfolio management at all? So typically, Atlassian products are built around teams, and that was the original use case for them. And then people realized that all of their teams were using it, so we need to go vertical to manage everything. And so by adding portfolio management add-ons and products into the Atlassian ecosystem, we get the benefits of alignment of work to your enterprise strategy. That's obviously very important. We get to visualize capacity versus demand in these tools. We get clear dependency management. We have predictable and prioritized delivery of value. We get stakeholder and team visibility, also extremely important. And all of this results in fewer fire drills because we see things coming down the tracks, as well as risk mitigation, which I find also particularly delightful because I don't like to have disasters blow up in my face 3 months later. So today we're going to talk first about Jira Align and then advanced roadmaps. Specifically, Jira Align is a standalone product. We're going to cover that in a moment. At least currently it is. And then afterwards, Advanced Roadmaps. Advanced Roadmaps is available in Data Center and Cloud Premium and Enterprise subscriptions. There's actually a really good explanation of these at Atlassian. You can just Google portfolio and Jira Align comparison, and you wind up with this nice URL here that really explains the difference between the two in a tabular format as well, if you'd like. All right, so Jira Align and Advanced Roadmaps are Atlassian's products. There are others that are available in the ecosystem that I want to talk about briefly. One of them is Structure. Structure provides this hierarchical construction of Jira issues. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, this will make more sense later when we go into the Advanced Roadmaps demo. But basically, it does some of the things that Advanced Roadmaps does, and then it also has a Gantt component as well. So if you want to see a hierarchical breakdown of your work, kind of like a work breakdown structure, and if you then also want to see it on a Gantt chart, it's actually 2 different add-ons that you buy, put them together, and then you get both of those functions within Jira. Works for Data Center and also Cloud Jira products. Then there's also Big Picture. Big Picture is a very popular add-on as well. Big Picture provides for, it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, if you understand that metaphor. It's got multiple tools in its box. Typically, you need 2 different add-ons to make it work. One is Big Picture, and the other is Big Picture Enterprise, which allows you to expand it across teams and portfolios. And Big Picture provides, very importantly, one thing, which is individual capacity. So most of the Atlassian products do team-level capacity. Big Picture does individual capacity as well. It also provides for risk registers, and it has a program board if you're doing a scaled agile implementation. And it also does the things that Structure and Advanced Roadmaps does by breaking things down hierarchically. There's also WBS Gantt chart for Jira. This is also a popular one. I'm not as familiar with it. We have people in our company that have implemented it for clients. I have not personally implemented it, but as I understand it, one of these three, if you don't like the in-house Atlassian products, will definitely get you where you're going. And lastly, if you don't like any of those, and if your PMO is married to Microsoft Project, there are also connector apps you can buy that will synchronize Microsoft Project down with Jira issues. I really like this solution because maybe you have a lot of development teams or business teams for that matter who are doing their work in Jira. They've really figured out the value proposition of Jira, but the PMO still needs to see everything in a traditional project management format. No problem. Hook those two up. We've done implementations like this for clients as well. They're humming along. Everybody's happy. All right, so let's dive in specifically to Jira Align and talk about what it is and how to use it and when you might buy it. So the positioning of Jira Align, first of all, it is a standalone application. It lives away from Jira and connects to Jira, which you'll see on the next slide. But the entire positioning for it is if you are using scaled agile framework, either SAFe or Spotify or just some Scrum of Scrums, basically any model that has you having teams work together, big room planning on a quarterly cadence, that kind of thing. Jira Align is probably for you. It is for large scale and enterprise companies, and it connects the CEO and the vision of the company all the way down to team members. And currently it is a full application. And by that I mean you can tie all of your strategic initiatives, mission, vision, values, all the way down to the team level work. And you can even record that team level work in Jira Align right now. But I will tell you that that is going to probably go away. So just be aware of that. So eventually what it's going to be is you're going to go down to the program layer, which is the layer just above your teams. And then it's, and you can do this right now, it then connects that layer down to your teams in Jira in a different application. And fingers crossed, in the next couple of years, maybe the whole thing will exist on the same platform and it'll just be a license flag that turns on all of this capability within Jira natively, which is what I'm hoping for. So looking at this hierarchy triangle here, and again, we're going to dive into the tool to actually show it off in a minute. One thing I really like about the way that Jira Align works is it actually has 3 different hierarchies, which makes sense when you stop and think about it. One is a time hierarchy. So we have our sprints, we have our single program increments or quarterly planning. We then get across to multiple quarterly plans, and then we zoom out to a strategic snapshot in time. There's a people hierarchy where we have teams and program members and possibly solution train members, and then portfolio members, and then enterprise leaders. And then we have a work hierarchy, which is the main one people think about when they think about these tools. So we have stories and tasks, which roll up to safe features / Jira epics, sometimes called JEPICs. Those can roll up to capabilities. Capabilities roll up to, let's say, portfolio epics or initiatives. Those roll up to strategic themes, and you get this whole roll-up breakdown functionality. And then also tangential to that is a bunch of OKRs, objectives and key results. This slide demonstrates how it connects right now for most deployments and many future deployments. So on the left, we have the hierarchy, enterprise portfolio, optional solution layer, program, and then down to the team layer. And then on the right, we have the programs. So again, Jira is handling the teamwork. We then have a bidirectional sync across the tools. And then Jira Align handles strategic portfolio, scale development, and product management. And eventually, again, these are going to be much more integrated in the future. This is another way to look at those hierarchies that I really like. I've got the people hierarchy on the left in white, enterprise portfolio solution program team. I've got the work hierarchy in the middle. So we have strategies that break down into themes, that break down into epics / initiatives. Those can break down into capabilities optionally. Those then break down into features / Jira epics. Those break down into stories. Those break down into subtasks in Jira. And then on the bottom, we have this time hierarchy. We have years that break down to quarters, which break down to anchors, releases, and sprints. Lastly, in green, we have this vector tangent going on where we can tie products, OKRs, value streams, domains, and budgets to these work items in the middle. So there's a lot going on with this tool. It is huge. Some key features of this tool include dependency management. There's a really good dependency management system, which we'll dive into in our demo. It provides a program board, which is great for big room planning when you do your quarterly planning. There is a roadmap feature. There's a strategy room and a program room. Basically, there's a room for every layer of the hierarchy, and this is where your members gather around to look at the work, look at the runway, make sure everything's arranged, look at data discrepancies, and make decisions. And lastly, there's OKR features. So you can track objectives, you can tie those objectives to work items, you can tie key results to those objectives. Very helpful. There's also new things coming. We talked a while ago about a retooled, I should probably update this slide to be honest. There's a retooled strategy room. The connector has been refreshed. There's a Trello integration. They've added OKRs. They are adding AI. And they're also, again, working on, I believe, refactoring and bringing Jira Align more into the code base, tied into the rest of the Atlassian ecosystem. So eventually, I believe it is not going to be a standalone function, but its own product. I'm sorry, tied in with the rest of Jira. How long does it take to implement? It takes a long time. That's really something to keep in mind. The way that we implement it typically is something called a jumpstart. This takes 3 months. We do it with one program or Agile Release Train. And we go through planning, discovery, configuration, training, and then we do actual PI planning with you. And we have basically, in order to facilitate this, a whole bunch of run books and forms that we need to, that sounds very bureaucratic, worksheets for getting the information that you have in Jira into Jira Align, making sure that everything's synchronized across your PIs and your sprints and your cadences. It's a lot of work, and we've done it with a lot of clients. And I would just tell you that some people try to make this go fast. It is not a fast process. So just keep that in mind. You'll want to budget for at least 3 months of building work. Also, there's a lot that you need to do with your Jira implementation as well right now to make the two programs play nicely together. So after you set up one program, then people typically want to expand to multiple programs, and then eventually they may want to go up a layer and build out a fleshed out portfolio management system. And by the way, the portfolio layer is where all the budgeting happens within Jira Align. We're going to see that in the tool in a moment. In fact, we're going to see it right now. So let's, oops, I want to go to there. All right. So this is Jira Align. Let's explore it together. First, right now, and this is going to change because there's a new UI coming in a little while. Right now, there is this navigation bar on the left side. And what we see here is we've got a Jira Align home button, user profile. We can search the different features of Jira Align down here. And then we have a favorite section. And then we get the different scale layers. So I've got the enterprise layer, which has everything we need to do strategy, long-term planning. We have the portfolio layer, which is where the budgeting happens. This is the initiative layer or the safe epic layer. Then there's the optional solution layer. Not every company needs this layer, so typically we leave it turned off. Then there's the program layer, which is the team of teams layer. The teams layer, which is going to go away because that's all done in Jira. And then there's this product section, which I wouldn't call a layer per se. It's more of an orthogonal connection. You basically label safe features with a product, and then this product section brings that all together so you can do product management. So you've got your work hierarchy over here, and you've got your tangential product slices going on over here. Then down at the bottom, we have a custom room section, reports, collaboration, and administration. And then up at the top, we have this thing called the context bar. And whenever you're in a particular view in Jira Align, you can choose of your entire enterprise work what you want to focus on in that view. I'm looking forward to this changing. I think it's a little confusing for some people right now. The new UI coming out hopefully in Q3 of this year is going to make this a little bit easier to navigate. But basically, I choose my portfolio From the portfolio, I can choose programs that I want to view, and then I can also choose teams in those programs. And then I can do the same thing over here on the right side with this little hierarchy view. It's exactly the same thing across left and right. I can then choose a different axis to focus on. This is a time axis, so I can choose which program increment I'd like to be focusing on instead. And I can even add additional configurations such as a product focus, a fixed version focus, an org structure focus. And then I can save these views for myself as well. I can save as a new setting if I want. So that's the navigation of the tool. Hopefully you're getting the idea. This is really big. Let's look up top at the strategy layer. So if I'm going to hop into the enterprise layer and go to the strategy room. So this is where we're going. Oh yeah. And first I need to choose a snapshot because strategies are not eternal. They change from time period to time period. So here, this is where we record our mission, vision, values. Those then tie down into long-term goals. Those break down into yearly goals, break down into quarterly goals, break down into strategic goals and themes, objectives and epics, objectives and features. So we see the whole map here, and we can see what we're working on across the enterprise within this particular snapshot. And then down here, I've got all of my OKRs, so I get this bird's eye executive view of how we're doing. Obviously, we're doing terribly on our portfolio objectives, but our strategic goals are pretty good. We then have an OKR tree breakdown that that shows all of our OKRs, all of our objectives rolling up into each other. And then on the right, we've got execution against outcomes and our snapshot progress for this particular snapshot. So again, the strategy room really zooms out and shows you everything. There's also a strategic backlog that we can look at. So based on a particular strategic snapshot, I can see my mission, vision, values broken down. Actually, let me increase this. I just realized it's probably hard for you to see. Sorry about that. I've got my long-term goals, yearly goals, and then I can pull out themes, which I can then re-rank if I want to. Maybe this theme is more important than that theme. And in that, of course, I can see my, zoom out just a little bit, I can see my budget, I can see how this theme is going, I can see the count. And I can do the same thing for my epics/initiatives as well. There's a lot of information going on here from a strategy standpoint. So that's the enterprise layer. Now most people on this call are probably at the portfolio layer, so let's go there next. So here we're going to start at the, let's say, portfolio backlog. I kind of like that idea more. Backlog. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm looking at a specific program, but I could zoom out and look at an entire portfolio if I wanted to instead. And then I can see all of the epics for this particular program increment that we're working on. And those epics then break down into features. This is all using safe nomenclature. I'm going to show you later how you can change the tool to adapt to whatever nomenclature you're using. And then if I dive into a specific epic, we can see all the information around this, including, oops, sorry, that's a feature. I don't want a feature, I want an epic. There we go. So I can track so much information about what I'm building. I can assign it to a particular program and also multiple programs if multiple programs are delivering against it. I can assign it to multiple program increments and then give it a weighted shortest job first prioritization across each of those program increments. Because of course, as we're building incremental value, the prioritization may change quarter to quarter. I can do estimations per quarter or per PI. I can see its constituent features and how far along those are. And that's just tab one. One that I like is, let's see, if we go to, let's go to spending. So we can associate budget information here, and we can see accepted spending against that in development costs. So again, this is where we attach budgeting to our work. We can also do a value hypothesis. We can do intake forms. We can do design. We can do forecasting across program increments. So we can see, how many team weeks each team is going to contribute to this epic. There's a lot going on here. If I zoom out to the portfolio room, kind of like the strategy room that we saw a little while ago, we're going to see all of the information that my portfolio management team needs to get their work done. So I've got my program increment roadmap. I've got everything that we're working on in this current program increment. I've got the story points, the estimated program effort, whether or not this epic is capitalized. So we're getting into CapEx, OpEx here. This is the execution tab that we're looking at here. I can also flip to a resources tab to see how we are resourced. And then there is also a financials tab, which is going to show me everything I need about budgeting and forecasted spend and estimated spend and accepted spend. And basically, this is taking the different layers from stories and features and just making sure that we're in line with our overall estimated budget. If you're familiar with lean budgeting, this is using those ideals. And there's a lot of information out there on the SAFE website if you want to read about that too. And then we have budget variances too. So there's a lot of financial information going on here as well to make sure that you're on track. So that's the portfolio layer, or at least two very small items in the portfolio layer. Let's go down to the program layer, which is my favorite layer. I think this is the most functional in the tool right now. And let's go to the program board. All right, so we're all going to be doing big room planning if we're doing scaled agile. And in order to execute that big room planning, we need a board to look at all of our features or Jira epics that we're working on during that quarter. And this is that view. This is the thing that we used to see when we did in-person big room planning with giant sticky notes on the wall and ties of yarn connecting features to features showing blockers. Well, this is all digital now here. And so what I have down the left side is all of my teams represented in rows. And on the right side here, I've got columns representing sprints in this particular quarter. And there's a key up here that shows everything. So we see that basically the coloring gets more and more red the worse things are. And then I've got different shapes for different items on the board. So let me just point some of these out. I've got these green boxes with check marks. These are accepted features that are done. I've got these red boxes or rectangles, and this is telling me I've got some planning issues. There's a real issue with this. Some stories are in past sprints that have not been accepted yet or have not been split into future sprints. So this thing isn't getting done is what this is telling me. And then there's going to be some other planning issues. Let's see if I can find a different one. We got all the same ones. Or maybe they're blocked. We also see these little crosses, I guess. These are dependencies, which I'm going to dive into deeper. And what's nice is that as I highlight things, we can start to see related items. So for example, this feature, 988, is being delivered by Team Alpha. Their work has been successfully delivered in Sprint 28, but Angry Birds in Sprint 27 is having a problem with their portion of the work. And then we also have different warnings here, like we've got some planning issues. Some stories are not assigned to any team sprint. Hey, this probably isn't going to get done. So basically the idea is that you want to, when you start your PI, you want to get everything into a state that it is just ready to go, which is gray, not started and pending. We can also track objectives as well. So this is an objective that is intended to be delivered in a certain sprint during this quarter. This may take a minute to get used to, by the way, looking at this. I mean, this is kind of a new way of looking at work too. This is real time. So you can come back during your quarter, and as the sprints, go by, you can see, have we delivered all of the stuff that we intended to deliver? This is a really helpful tool for talking to management as well. And then here, I've got features that have work that are in unplanned sprints. So hey, that work you wanted to get done, the team couldn't even schedule that because of everything else that we've got going on. So we can have a lot of conversations around that, which is quite helpful. All right, that's the program board. Let's look at the program room. This is where your release train engineers and your program management are going to get together frequently to look at what's going on. if it loads. There we go. All right, so here I've got my PI planning checklist. I've got my sprints and the progress. I've got my runway to make sure that I have enough work for everyone to do. I've got the features that we're doing right here. I can do a quick estimate button, which I did not mean to click on there, which takes me to a quick estimation space. I can mark minimum marketable feature. I can do a WSGIF quick calculation. I can do a t-shirt estimating on all of my features comparatively to one another. I'm going to go back though to the room. Over here, I've got progress against Epic's feature stories and dependencies. I've got saved tasks to do. I've got a list of all of my dependencies, team to team in the room. I've got impediments. I've got our program objectives right here. Those are being tracked in this tool as well. And then way down here, I've got risks for this program increment, release vehicles, team load, team progress. So everything I need to know to make sure that I'm delivering okay, plus the program board. There's also, by the way, at every layer, there's this backlog again. I can do a lot of work in the backlog, including my favorite activity where if I switch to this Kanban view, I can go to a column view and I can then see, oops, let's go to the mobile program. I can see all of my work and I can see based on the story points that have gotten done or that are estimated, sorry, I've got about 92% of my program load here. If I go to estimated, which looks at t-shirt size, so demand versus capacity here, I'm 4,000% over. So this is a way to compare demand versus capacity and to make sure that what you are thinking your teams can do lines up with what your team's thinking. In this case, we're trying to push in. We are underestimating based on known work for our teams. And then there's also value stream views. So you can view these. This is more of a Kanban view. You can view the work across unassigned funnel, analyzing backlog, and implementing, and then validating, releasing, and done. Let's talk about roadmaps for a moment. Jira Line offers roadmaps. So we can see in this case, we're looking at feature by epic, I believe. So we've got our epics here broken down into features. These little ones that you see here, these are, these little stars, these are milestones that we're looking at. This is a portfolio ask date specifically. And then we also see our progress. You see the dark green over here and the light green over here, which is nice. And then we can see specific work items broken down as well. And then we can also subjectively color these. So as we're presenting to management, based on my subjective understanding of what's going on with this particular epic, I can mark it at critical slip, at risk, on track, on hold, etc. Dependencies. And then we're going to hop over into advanced roadmaps very soon. The way that Jira Line handles dependencies makes me really happy. Dependencies in general are really, I think in reality, they're a conversation with your teams. So it's my team needing something from your team, and I'm going to come and say, hey, I need a thing. Do you have capacity to do the thing? I need it by Thursday. Your team's going to say, yes, I have capacity, but I can't deliver it until Friday. No problem. We negotiate, we agree, you're going to have it done by Friday, and then we get the work done. And dependencies work exactly the same way in Jira Line. So a given dependency has a 3-step workflow, not committed. So this is step 1. This is where I'm asking you, hey, can you do this? You agree to do it by Friday. You then tie work to it, get the work done, and then it's done. And so we can track information about what program increment this is going to be done in, who is the requesting team, who is the dependent team, is the work done, is there any work required, when do we need it by, when is it committed by, a lot of information going on there. And because we have dependencies so nicely tracked in Jira Line, we can report on them nicely too. My favorite report is this wheel view of dependencies, also looks like a spaghetti map. And I love this because I can see clusters So basically, I've got my teams in slices, and I've got dependencies from team to team in these lines, and I can see which teams have the most dependencies on or from other teams. And I like that because now I can take this to my management and say, hey, we're structured wrong. We don't have cross-functional teams. Even worse, if I'm asking people across programs to get work done, we need to restructure, because fundamentally we will work more efficiently if we have less dependencies. All right, let's look at reports for just a moment. There's a ton of reports in Jira Align. Don't let this mega report menu wow you, though. Most of our clients wind up using data connectors and doing additional reporting in their own reporting tools. It's just the nature of the beast. Every business is different. Every business has different ways to report. And so you will probably ultimately need a data connector and an additional BI tool. Just something to be aware of. That is very common for the use of Jira Align. But one of the reports that I do like, if I can find it, is it there? Investment versus spend, I think. Let's grab a portfolio. Yeah, so this is cool. We can see our funding, our estimated spend, our accepted spend, and then we get all of this broken down into our various strategic themes, allocations, spend. A lot of stuff here that's very important to portfolio management. This is one example of the kind of reports you can get in this tool. Lastly, I want to show you one little bit of administration. There's a lot of things to configure for this tool. That's why it takes 3 months or more. But one little thing, just to give you peace of mind, is platform terminology. So depending on what your company calls a thing, like maybe you don't like the name Epic, maybe it's initiative for you, or maybe it's feature, or maybe it's something else. No problem. You can change so much of the nomenclature in this tool to make it fit your company's needs. All right, so that is the initial introduction to Jira Align. There's actually a whole nother webinar that we do that really dives into this more. And that is, I believe, next Thursday. But we're going to see that at the end of this presentation when the next one is. Meanwhile, I'm going to set up for my next demo. And whoops, let me log in off screen while I come over here and talk about something else. So we are a Platinum Solution partner with Atlassian. And again, in a minute, we're going to dive into advanced roadmaps. What this Platinum Solution partner means, though, is that we are the top tier of partners within Atlassian. And the Atlassian ecosystem is different from a lot of software vendors and partners. We work really closely with Atlassian. We're on the phone every week with them. And Atlassian makes the software products, and solution partners provide solutions and implementations and services around those products. So if you need any help with any of your Atlassian products, we can help you, or another solution partner. So we specifically specialize, XBM specializes in training, like these free webinars, like the YouTube content we put out. We also do public and private classes. So if you want training for your team locally, online, or on site, we do that. We also do public classes that individuals can attend. Additionally, we do consulting, so implementations, customizations, upgrades, recommendations, all of those Asian activities. We also do migrations, so if you're on server or data center and would like to go to cloud, or vice versa, we also do full-on migrations. Lastly, we have a sister company called Oasis Digital that does custom software development. And so if you need anything built, our first solution is always build it in the tool. If you can't build it in the tool, build it using a supported marketplace add-on. And if you can't do that, then build it custom and support it. So we also do that for many of our major clients. All right, well, that's the end of that very, very short bit of information about us. Let's dive into advanced roadmaps. So totally different tool, Relatively same purpose. So let's just completely switch hats and think about another way to get this work done. Specifically, if you saw Jira Align and you're like, man, that's way too much for my team or my company right now. No problem, you are not alone. You can use advanced roadmaps, and you probably already have it in your ecosystem. So advanced roadmaps specifically is an add-on that, well, I guess it used to be an add-on. Now it comes standard. It specifically comes standard with Jira Data Center and all Jira Software Data Center, and also Jira Cloud, both the premium and enterprise tiers. If you're on Cloud Standard, you cannot get advanced roadmaps. You can't get it as an add-on anymore. Also, it used to be called Portfolio for Jira years ago. And it has gotten way better since it was Portfolio for Jira. So the positioning and value of this. So this is a tool for growing agile organizations that need, and honestly, waterfall too, that need visibility, shared focus, and accurate delivery. It provides for planning across multiple teams. And because you have these roadmaps, you are keeping your stakeholders informed. There's actually a really great way to save and export views that you can point to different stakeholders. You can align work to higher level initiatives. So when you implement advanced roadmaps, you can implement a hierarchy within your company that goes above just story epic in Jira. You can get to initiative and strategic theme and whatever else you need. And lastly, this allows you to communicate a bigger picture to your teams. So when teams can see where they're working towards, I think people work harder and better. All right, so what are the key features of advanced roadmaps? Specifically, you can get a product level roadmap. You can visualize all of your work. And honestly, it's just a different visualization, kind of like a Kanban board in Jira. You get capacity planning. So there's that function added to this visualization. There is an auto schedule feature available for teams that takes into account estimates and assignees and team capacity and releases and all that stuff. And it'll give you recommendations for when to release. Never a substitute for actually knowing your own work, but a guide. And lastly, it gives you better dependency management, which we're going to see in a minute as well. So what's new and coming? Again, it is built into Cloud Premium and Cloud Enterprise. It's built into Data Center. They have recently added improved sprint management. They have added improved capacity management. They have added a Confluence macro. And they have also added a dependency map. And very recently, the ability to export images of your roadmap as well. Although I'm not sure if that's available in our demo site yet, because that's a rolling feature that they're adding right now. How long does it take to implement? Way less time than Jira Align, maybe a month or faster. We can train on it in half a day, and then the building of the structures to support it takes a little bit longer. So specifically, we like to work in a way where we ask our executives, what decisions are you trying to make? And then we say, what do you need to see to make those decisions? And then we look at the processes that drive what they're seeing, and then we look at the structure that supports those processes. And then we work backwards from right to left, and we update and clean up Jira, which gives us better process support. That gives us the views that we need, and now we're making our decisions. So we typically work with 1 to 2 teams. It takes us about a month. We used to go on site and do this in a week, but the month also includes lots of training and understanding of the tool, so that you walk away knowing how to use this tool. And then later on, we could expand to further teams or programs, but honestly, by then, you know how to do it. All right, so let's dive into the product, and I'm logged in over here now. So Advanced Roadmaps is straight in Jira, and you access it by coming to this Plans menu, and then I'm going to go to our Advanced Roadmaps demo plan. So there's a lot going on this screen. I think it's very overwhelming when you first get here. So let me just show you around. Let's walk around, take a look at the map, and look. Or I guess my favorite metaphor for this is we're going to go on a walk on a trail. I'm going to point out some trees, and we're going to come back to those trees and look at them more deeply in a moment. So first, across the top, we have something called scenarios. I love this. We get to choose what information we are saving here. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. We also have different views that we can go to. So this is one way to view the data in this plan. I can click on Epic Planning and get an entirely different view of the same data. And we're going to come back and talk more about that in a minute. Over here, I've got this push changes button, well, review changes. And basically, when I make changes to data down here, it is going to be saved in this plan and only in this plan. And only once we decide at the end of our meeting, hey, this is what we want our teams to do, are we going to click review changes, which looks like this, and then actually approve different changes or not. And we can see what changes we're making. We can see who made those changes in the plan. I'm going to discard these for now. Yeah, so it's a sandbox to do your planning in, which is really fantastic. Then I've got different filters. And before I introduce the view settings, I just want to point out the two different parts of the screen that I'm seeing now. Well, three. I've got the settings up top. On the left side, I've got what I call the scope view. And it's got a whole bunch of fields that I can ever expand to get information. And I can collapse those. And then over here, I've got what's called the roadmap view. All right, now that we've seen that, now let's see about what we can update with our filters. I can filter on just about anything. So I can choose layers of the hierarchy. This particular view is looking at initiative down to epic, but I could do initiative all the way down to subtask if I wanted to. And then I can filter on certain releases or teams or assignees or projects. I can say only show me things that have dependencies or overlapping dates. Only show me certain statuses, to do in progress or done, or then specific statuses. Or because I'm tagging different work by product, I can say filter on products, filter on whether or not this is an MVP, filter on swag estimates, all that stuff. And then you see down here, I've got all of my work here in a collapsible hierarchical format based on the scope of my plan. And I can do inline editing here, which is pretty helpful. I can also click into the description here, or I can edit the summary right here from the program. Let's just get out of there. I can also come here and I can change dates if I want to, if I don't like the dates. These dates reflect over on my roadmap. I can't update status from here yet, but I can change things like swag. I can see a progress roll-up. So I've got this initiative, and it's looking at this initiative's direct children. So I'm 14% done, 57% in progress, 29% not started yet. I can do mischief calculations right here if I want to. So yeah, lots of information here. And then based on all this, I can change my settings. I can choose what to color my roadmap. Let me just collapse and show this. So I can color by status, or how about color by label? And now I can do the same thing in Jira Align where I can label some of my initiatives red subjectively. I can also choose how to sort, how to group. I can choose to show dependencies or not. And then I can save this view for a particular stakeholder group. So let me show a different view. This is one that I would use for executives. They're looking at their initiatives. They mostly just care about that. Those initiatives break down into epics that a different group of people care about. But for the most part, you know, I just care about, is my initiative going to get done on time? So let's hop down into epic planning, which I would say is more for product owners. So same data, but this time viewed differently. This time I'm starting at epics and breaking down into stories, and then I can see the parent initiative. I still have my target start, target end date. I've got my statuses. I've got my weighted shortest job first. I've got my swag field. I can see the number of story points, and I get a roll-up of story points. So this Epic 8 has 31 children story points rolled up. I can also see incoming and outgoing dependencies, and I can see what release this work is in as well. But I can also see dependencies over here on this view. which is quite helpful. And if I adjust this dependency, this line will change back to gray instead of red. We also see some interesting information over here. This barbershop striping effect on this epic is telling me that the epic has no fixed dates. There's no fixed target start or target end. Instead, it is inheriting those values from its children. So if I move this item in or out, you can see that its parent is also moving in or out at the same time. Let's look at a different view, specifically my dependencies report. Very different view, but now it's showing me all of the dependency chains in the work that I've chosen for this plan. And I can group this by team if I want to as well. So what I'm seeing here is Team Alpha has a lot of work, and Team Charlie is probably some sort of supplier team for them. And Charlie has a dependency on Team Alpha, but Charlie has to get their work done before Team Alpha can get all the rest of this work done. So this would be something that we want to address in our planning. And we also see that we have some dependency problems here. I can click on this and I can go and view this information in a different view if I want to. I can also filter by issues, and I can roll up to, let's say, epics. So these are story dependencies, but I can roll up to the parent epics and see that this epic, epic 13 is blocking epic 16, and then epic 1 has a bunch of work that's being blocked by work in epic 13. So a lot going on here in the dependency views as well. All right, let's go to a different view that I call capacity planning. This is the same data we've been looking at already, but this time I'm just looking at the story layers, and I've chosen to group now by team, and I want to show my capacity. So each of my teams has all of their work broken out here. And if I want to fix this dependency for a moment, I can move this work item into, let's say, sprint 4. And now my dependency is fixed. I also have a problem up here. I can see that my capacity is overloaded based on this meter. I can click in here and I can see that I am actually 33 out of 30 story points allocated. So I have a problem. Now, I could just change my capacity for the sprint if I wanted to, but that would be cheating. So instead, I can see that I need to move 3 story points into a different sprint. No problem. Let's take this guy, 3 story points, after our conversations, move him into sprint 2. Now my capacity is just at 100%. There's some other nice views too. I can see progress towards this. I can see epic information, types of work in there. I can see different capacity for this particular sprint. I can see that I have one unestimated issue, which is telling me that my capacity is not really accurate. Or I'm sorry, that my demand is not very accurate. I can also jump straight to viewing the sprint, viewing a velocity chart, lots of information going on here. We can also see that I've got future sprints going on here, and also projected sprints. So advanced roadmaps is good at figuring that out as well. Again, though, this is team level capacity. There's not individual capacity available in advanced roadmaps. Here I can choose what warnings I want to show in my different views. I can turn off warnings altogether. Let me show some warnings here too. If I come up to my initiative planning, do I have any warnings? I don't. Well, much like the program board over in Jira Align, if there's a scheduling issue, like if I've got a child outside of a parent, that row is going to highlight yellow and say, hey, your child ends after the parent's planned dates. What do you want to do about that? Two of my favorite things, though, in this tool are, again, this whole review changes thing. And notice that, actually, let me change it on this view. Notice that as I make changes to this plan, all of these changes are showing up with a little green triangle in the top right corner, right here. That little green triangle means it corresponds to this green number up here in the top right of the changes that I'm going to push. But if I change scenarios, remember scenarios from back in the beginning of this, If I go to my worst case scenario, same views, same data, different scratch pad. So now I can choose different sizes or different dates or different estimates. Probably you'd mostly just be changing dates instead of sizes between these, but you get the idea. You know, I could say that this is going to be done here, or I could go to my capacity and I could cut my team's capacity by half and say, all right, worst case scenario, can we get our minimum viable products done? And then you see up here now, my review changes color represents my scenario color. So in the end, I can build out two scenarios and then I can push the one that we're actually going to act on. So a very nice feature in there. There's the auto schedule feature, which is done for teams. Basically, if you click auto schedule, it will allow you to preview the results. They'll show up in purple, and you can then decide if you want to push those changes to your plan or not. I'm not going to, but you could. Lastly, my favorite feature of this is the share as function. This is just wonderful. First, I can share it as a link. So I can grab, and I'll open in a new tab, a read-only view of this plan. The people can still come in, they can manipulate the view, they can filter on certain work, they can change the way the view is displayed, but all the information is fixed. They can't change that info. You do have to have a license in Jira to see this information though. Advanced Roadmaps respects Jira's permissions. I can also embed this in an iframe. Same thing though, you got to be logged in. I can also drop it into a Confluence lake, and this I think is just wonderful. I love building reports in Confluence. We do other webinars where we talk about this, but one of them is like, let's say the way that we manage our engagements. We usually have a dashboard that shows a this is an example of that dashboard that shows where we are. But here I have embedded a roadmap into a Confluence page. And there's even a little legend that shows everybody what's going on so they can understand what they're seeing. So now I've got context on this Confluence page and I've got the roadmap embedded into it, which is very helpful, I think. Lastly, you can export as a CSV. And this is neat because the progress bar that you saw earlier, those values also export into CSV, and you can do your own charts and graphs within, let's say, Excel or Google Sheets. And like I said earlier, soon they're going to get a new PNG picture function in this roadmap as well. So you'll be able to capture many issues in an image and then drop that, let's say, in a PowerPoint. All right. Let's go back to my presentation for a second and continue on. So I'm not done yet, but I'm going to do an official closing and then open it up for Q&A because I know some people probably have to go. So first of all, thank you very much for attending. Thank you for your kind attention. I know that this is a lot of information. I really hope it's been valuable for you. Really, thanks for taking time out of your day to watch this. If you want to connect with me, you can do so on LinkedIn. There's a QR code there. Or please send me an email if you have any questions about this that weren't answered. I'm going to look at questions in a moment. Also, we have a lot of free upcoming webinars if you would like, and a couple of public paid classes if you're interested. Specifically, we're going to do an introduction. I'm sorry, this is today's class, Intro to Portfolio Management. Next Tuesday, I'm doing a Jira Service Management Bootcamp. That's a paid class. It's an all-day class where we're going to deep dive into how to set up Jira Service Management. After that, we've got an Intro to Jira Align next Thursday. That's a free webinar. Intro to Confluence, free webinar the Thursday after. Atlassian Tools for Business Teams the week after that. We do a governance webinar after that. We then have a paid Jira Administrative Bootcamp and a paid Confluence Bootcamp class. Those are really great if you want to know really how to set up Jira and how to dive into all that. We do a free cloud migration webinar. We do another boot camp, and then the whole thing repeats. Oh, also, if you're really into Jira Service Management, we do a fundamentals and specifically service management for ITSM's free webinars as well coming up in the future. All of that is available if you go to xpm.com. Specifically, you can just look at events. Just land on this page, come to events. All the next ones are here. You can click on any one and then sign up for it. All right, so I'm going to go do questions and answers right now, but if you got to go, you got to go. Thank you so much for paying attention. I really appreciate it, and have a good week. All right, questions. So if we have Jira Align, you don't need Jira Cloud for Teams management. That is the case with the product right now, but that is going away. So you will absolutely need Jira for Teams management in the future. They are going to deprecate the team layer of Jira Align. So just be aware of that. Oh, thanks. Can we integrate another tool like Workboard where OKRs are automatically defined into Jira Line? I don't think that the Jira Line API works with OKRs yet, although they might have just changed it. They just did a whole lot with the API recently, including allowing the editing of custom fields. So if you do specifically need to know that, please send me an email and we can look it up for you. But I know that they've been making a lot of positive changes to Jira Line's API going in the past couple months to really allow for a lot of external integrations. Can you use Jira Line for end-to-end PI planning with 10 to 12 teams in an ART? Yeah, absolutely. That's its entire intent at the program layer. Yeah, for sure. I'll wait around for any more questions if anybody has them. I'm new to Jira and need help to figure out what version we have. We do have plans. It seems like roadmaps. Why exactly do we need to get Jira Align? So if you're on cloud, basically the way to tell it if you're on cloud is, let me come over here. So specifically, oh gosh, what are the hallmarks? Let's see. I can show you what server looks like. If you're logging into Jira like this, you're on data center. Specifically, when you're on data center, you can look at the bottom and you'll see, like if you're on a dashboard, you'll see down here, Atlassian Jira Project Management Software version 8.22 or something. That's data center. If you're on cloud, you will have a different login experience. Your app switcher will look more like this. You'll have multiple products hanging out over here. And also, if you're on cloud, you'll see your work is going to be the first menu item up here. So that answers that question. What do you need to do to get Jira Align? You need to contact a partner, and we can help procure the licenses for you as well as the Jumpstart packages to get it set up. So please send me an email or call us or reach out on LinkedIn, and I can help you with that. Can you use Jira Align for a waterfall approach? Yes, it is not the intent of the tool though. So just keep that in mind. Like it is a little bit hard to work against a tool's intent. Jira Align is really about big room planning, cadences, tying work from sprints up to quarters. You can put all the work in there, but it is really designed around Scrum first and foremost. Are there any demos or documentation to learn Jira Align? Well, yeah, we've got, well, there's a couple things. In Jira Align, if you have that tool, there are some built-in, where is it? Not here. There are some built-in videos that you're, I always forget where they are. They're somewhere in here. Some built-in training videos that you can do. I'm probably lost. Yeah, there we go. Click on the checklist, then go to training simulation, and you can get a bunch of tours within the tool itself. We do a lot of videos on our YouTube channel, which by the way, let me just, if you search for XBM on YouTube, we have this YouTube channel here, and you can visit all of our videos and basically just look up Jira Align. We have a playlist, by the way, Jira Align user and admin breakdown. Here it is, Jira Align software updates. You can grab this playlist here, and that's a good way to see that. And there is no trial version of Jira Align right now. It is a really big tool. They don't have the tooling yet to just roll out trials. So I mean, it's a big deal to set it up. Unlike the rest of Atlassian tools, I imagine eventually they're going to get there, especially if they wind up rolling it into the code base and just integrating the whole thing. in a full stack. I think then you'll be able to get a free trial of it, but for right now you can't. Thank you. All right. Wait for a moment for any other questions. All right. Well, if you have other questions, again, reach out to me. I love chatting about this stuff. I really do. Thank you very much again for attending. I hope you have a great week and a great weekend, and we'll see you for the next one, hopefully. Have a good day, everyone.